Hello, everybody. Hello, New York. Hello, world. We're here again. We're continuing our mini-series on New York real estate. My name is Marcus Schott, and as some of you may know, I'm a real estate agent in New York City. I help buyers, sellers, renters, landlords come together, find new homes, make new relationships. Today we are talking about how to buy an apartment. In New York City, there's a lot of complicated procedures and ownership laws and city laws on everything in real estate. So sometimes there's a lack of transparency, or there's freewheeling and dealing with certain people. There's a lot to consider when living in a city where you're sharing a larger investment with everybody. You're not just having a standalone house like in the suburbs or in the country. So there's a lot to consider. Purchasing a home is pretty exciting, but you should take time to define your search. This is pretty important if you want to save time and then also get the best deal and close quickly. It's good to start with the end in mind. You should consider your price range, location, where you want to be, uptown, downtown, schools, if there's cultural happenings around, whatever you may like, close to transportation, the type of ownership, because in New York there's condos, there's co-ops, there's multifamilies, there's single families. And then you also want to consider, a size of, is it a 1-2 apartment building or is it a 100-person co-op? And then also amenities. So all these things are kind of a personal preference to you, and you need to prioritize them so you're not running around, going around, making lots of offers, not getting the place you want, getting beat out by somebody else who's more prepared. So this is where you need to start. Define the search. It will pay off in the long run. So make a list, write it all down, and then you need to prioritize it. What's first? Light, space, area, transportation. And then put it in order, and then that's how you start your search. Go from there. If you need to change it in the future, you can if you need to, but you'll find that out along the way. Then you need to evaluate your budget. Know what you can spend, know what you can put on a down payment, and then you have to remember the monthly expenditures as well, like maintenance or common charges, taxes, your monthly mortgage, utilities, parking. It's a lot of loose ends and budgeting that you need to keep in mind. You do not want to get yourself into a place where you own something and then you're all stressed out because you can't afford it. So keep that in mind. You will also need a real estate attorney, and when you do this, you definitely want to choose someone who is a New York City-based real estate attorney who specializes in real estate. Do not get Uncle Joe from New Jersey who specializes in, patent law. You don't want him because he's not going to be so familiar with the intricacies of closing this transaction. If you need a mortgage, you also need a mortgage lender. And I recommend getting a pre-approval for a loan before you start looking at places, because you might have a budget that is totally off from what you can actually afford and be approved for. So that's on you. Go talk to a mortgage professional. They will help you out and be happy about it. The general rule of thumb is that you will be loaned 4 times your yearly debt to income ratio. I'm not a mortgage professional, but that's the rule of thumb. So verify it on your own though, but that's a good place to start. There'll be many factors to consider when you reach out for a mortgage lender directly. Some buildings will only lend from certain banks, while others will use multiple banks. If a building has underlying issues, Some banks won't loan to certain buildings for whatever reason, so you make sure there's no lawsuits against the building. Also, if there's not a percentage sold in the building yet, so for instance, like in a new development, if they haven't sold, I think sometimes like half or 30% of the apartments, lending will be much stricter until the building starts filling up. They always say also, what should you look for in one of these professionals? Buying a home is a pretty important financial decision, but it's also a life decision. You're probably going to only do this a handful of times in your life unless you are a professional and you do this as a job to make income. And you know what? Your home says a lot about you. You should probably start by asking some friends for referrals. Maybe they have used an attorney or a real estate agent or a mortgage professional in the past who they really liked, and that's probably a good place to start. People like recommendations from their friends. You probably want to consider somebody who specializes in what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a townhome in Clinton Hill or a co-op in Upper West Side, Manhattan, some people do it on certain price points they specialize in. Some people do certain neighborhoods, and you want to have someone who listens to your needs, asks a lot of questions about how you live and what you want, and it takes time to explain things that you may not understand. Finding a new home, it should be fun and not stressful. So you want to have someone that you enjoy being with, because you probably are going to talk to them on the phone a lot, meet them on weekends and maybe evenings to go look at places or review documents and things like that. New York is made up of primarily 3 types of home ownership: condominium, cooperative, and then single standalone townhouses, which can have 1, 2, 3 units in them. Let's start with what the difference between a condo and a co-op is. Co-ops are pretty specific to New York City. So co-ops are basically a building that is owned by a corporation. When you buy a co-op, you're actually buying shares that entitle you as a shareholder to lease space in a particular apartment. Shareholders pay a monthly maintenance fee to cover building expenses, which include real estate taxes. Approval is granted by a board of directors, and all prospective buyers must submit a board package to purchase the shares. The board will also require an interview. This is pretty standard. You've heard many stories and Saturday Night Live skits about co-op interviews in New York City. A condominium is real property, and a purchaser is given a deed. Besides owning the apartment, you also own a small percentage of the building's common elements, like a hallway, a stairwell, things like that. Each individual apartment gets a separate tax bill from the city, and there is also a monthly common charge for the building expenses. Financing and subletting terms can be more flexible in a condo than a co-op. Generally speaking, in a condo, you have much looser rules and regulations about what you can do with your property versus a co-op where everyone in the building actually owns even your apartment. So even if you have to do a renovation in your apartment, you need to get approval from other people on the board. You're going to start looking at apartments on open houses. They are generally on Sundays because that's when everyone who is working can see at the same time. This is also good too because all the real estate agents generally hold them back to back or in the same time frame on a Sunday, so you can go see a lot of them at once, get an idea for what prices are going for in the neighborhood. These open houses are a showcase to the public for an apartment for sale, and they're visited by serious buyers and also people who are just looky-loos coming out on a Sunday afternoon after some brunch. Some open houses can be very crowded. You can have 10, 20, 50 people there within an hour, hour and a half. Some can be a little bit more intimate or more of like a private showing by appointment. The real estate agent holding the open house should have prepared information on the property and be available to answer any question. Usually they'll have a little sign-in sheet and they're pretty serious about signing in. Get on those mailer lists. And then they'll also have just a property sheet talking about the price, taxes, square footage, maybe a floor plan, things like that. For serious buyers, it's a great opportunity to view the home without any pressure because, you're not having this one agent just telling Dan to just really take this apartment, it's just for you. There's a lot of people there. But that can also create kind of an atmosphere of competition as well, and you can kind of gauge the public's interest on an open house on the first, couple weeks. So try to look beyond the owner's decor. If it's not your tastes, but the home still has a great potential for your needs, keep an open mind. Maybe move the couch over there and the bookshelf over there. Get creative with it. If you want information on history, comparables, upgrades, or other specifics, don't be afraid to ask. If you're working with your own agent, they can easily get this information for you, or you can ask the listing agent. And if you're interested in a private showing, make an appointment to come back when everybody else isn't there. Now, here's a step-by-step timeline for purchasing. Once you've started your search and you're working with your agent to preview different properties, it's important to be aware of a timeline of events that generally take place when you've found that perfect home. And in most cases, once you decide to make an offer, it can take an average of 60 to 120 days to complete the closing process. Number 1, prepare an offer. This could take a day. If it's a busy open house and you've been prepared to go out, you should have all this documentation on hand. Present the offer. Generally, you need to show a proof of funds if you're paying cash, or get a mortgage pre-approval letter. Put your best foot forward. Give an offer that you're willing to pay. Show them that you're serious. And then now the negotiation begins. If all goes well, maybe you'll just get your first offer accepted. If you want to pay the asking price, sometimes you can negotiate less. Sometimes there's a bidding war. So you have to take into consideration that specific property because each one's going to be different. And so once you negotiate the terms and the offer is accepted, that usually takes about 2 to 5 days. The next 2 to 4 weeks are going to be kind of like a whirlwind of paperwork to get a contract of sale signed with your lawyer. You also want to get your loan application approved and appraised, and a commitment letter from the bank. And then you put your escrow deposit to the side, usually about 10%, until you get into contract to hold for the seller. You'll also have a interview package, for the co-op or the condo, which is specific to that building. They're going to ask you for letters of recommendation, proof of funds, maybe a letter that tells where you work, personal references, professional references. It'll be specific to that building. And some of these can be 100 pages, 50 pages for the application, and then you need to make maybe 10 copies for all the other current members on the board for the review. So after that, you're going to have a co-op board package review or interview with the application, and this takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes Beth from 5B will be gone for a couple of weeks enjoying her spring break down in Barbados, which can hold up your approval process. If anyone has bought a place in New York, or you ask any real estate agent, this happens quite often. Now, once everyone's back from vacation and you are approved, the bank and the attorneys are going to prep for a closing. This takes about a week. You're going to set a day aside where the buyers and sellers come together with their attorneys and prep for closing. On the day of closing, or the day before, usually the day of, you do a final walkthrough. It's going to make sure the property's in good condition and everybody is holding up their ends of the bargain before they go to the closing table. If they were supposed to paint a wall or take out a fixture or leave in a fixture, that whatever has been agreed upon is actually going to be delivered. Now let's take a couple steps back and talk about this condo or co-op application, it could be quite thorough. So to complete your board package, this won't be always applicable for a townhouse or a condo. Your agent will provide you with an application. Like I said, it varies from building to building. And then generally you want to complete this within 7 to 10 days from having a contract signed with the attorneys. Or, 3 days to 5 days when you receive a bank commitment letter, whichever applies. Generally, a co-op board requires a minimum of several personal and business references from friends and colleagues. If you're looking, you're going to have this, maybe you get it beforehand. You get a sample. It's very straightforward. Sally Joe is a wonderful person. I've known them since I was 5, and we enjoyed riding bikes together. You will be likely asked for an employment verification or pay stubs, some bank verification or brokerage statements stating your net worth and your income. And this is generally by a financial advisor. And then also you talk to your CPA or accountant, or if you do your own, you want to get 2 years of tax returns and the mortgage loan application or commitment letter from the bank. Now you're about to close, and there's going to be costs that go into the closing. And some people wonder, how are these determined? So we're going to go over that now. For many home buyers, the closing costs are kind of a mystery. Some things can be unsure. They change from state to state and from year to year, including flat laws, taxes, or changing in percentages of those laws. So if you're purchasing, you need to be aware of these costs as well in advance of the closing date. Typical closing costs associated with the purchase of a cooperative, condominium, or townhouse include, but are not limited to, attorney's fees, which vary. Some can have a flat fee, or they have a scaling fee based on the value of the home or how intricate it might be, or between a co-op or a townhouse or a condo. That's going to be set by each person. There will also be fees associated with your mortgage loan, such as origin costs, which can be 0 to 3% of the value of the loan. You have an application fee, a credit check fee, etc. Be $500 and up. Just depends where you get it done. There's going to be an appraisal, which is about $600 and up. You got a move-in deposit, and this can be anywhere from $500 to $1,000. This is usually refundable if there's no damage, and this is going to be based on each building. And then you also have taxes, including the mansion tax, which is 1% of the total purchase price when it's $1 million or more. That's for New York City. It's a mansion, $1 million. I sometimes think that's kind of arbitrary, but just a cool flat mill. Then you also have insurances and other items, plus your remaining down payment. Condos and townhouses also require title insurance. Title, search, and recording fees, approximately 0.5 to 0.8 of the purchase price. Buyers should consult their real estate attorney or financial advisor for specifics. Those buying in a new development project should pay particular attention to these numbers, as you will likely be paying in New York City and a New York State transfer taxes if you're the original owner of the property. And then this usually is about 1.825% of the price. This can change year to year, as well as other seller's fees and expenses like the cost of the seller's attorney. Generally in a resale, the seller is going to have their own attorney, and they're going to pay for that. So we covered a lot of information there, but hopefully you absorbed it. It's a audio format, so you can go back and review. You can also reach out to me. My Twitter handle is Marcus Amadeus, or you can just find me at my real estate website. Just type in my name, Marcus Schott. If you want to review any of this process, I'm more than happy to send you some paperwork and some outlines and things to prepare you and educate you in the process. So that's all we have for this episode of this mini-series on New York real estate. Stay tuned for more to come. You can check out my website or my Facebook, or Maybe we'll put this in a podcast. We'll see. You can subscribe then, but that's in the future. So I hope you have a nice day. Live well. Live for today. Love your neighbor. Be a good neighbor. And everything will work out for you. Remember, this is a single episode in a multi-part series we're going to put together. We're going to cover other topics surrounding real estate, including the differences between home ownership, the history of certain areas of New York. We might cover some law. We might talk to some other real estate professionals or real estate attorneys to help you out and guide you through the process. I hope you learned and retained a few things. I can't wait to hear from you. And I hope you'll come back again to learn a few more things. If you want to sign up for our mailing list, look on my website, marcusamadeus.com. If you want to talk more about real estate, you can find me, Marcus Schott or Marcus Amadeus. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.